Kevin Arnovitz with me live from Memphis. Kevin, we saw Anthony Edwards coming out party in Game 1. Can he repeat that level performance tonight, do you think?
I mean, I think the sense is yes, and he's dominating from all over the floor in the pick and roll as an outside shooter, which wasn't always his best strength, and as a slasher. I mean, we're seeing a young player come into his own on the biggest stage.
You had a chance to speak with the Grizz today. What was their assessment of what happened in Game 1?
You know, they're an elite defensive team, and I think they believe this wasn't a case of a bad game plan. It was a good game plan that was poorly executed. They're going to have to improve their defensive shifts on Edwards. They're going to have to step up their pick and roll coverage, and they can't let a reserve guard like Malik Beasley just get as loose as he did on the perimeter in Game 1.
Kevin, you're around, is there any chatter about the Anthony Edwards-Ja Morant thing that seemed to me to be happening, like these two young, next-level budding superstars? Anthony Edwards got him in Game 1. Anyone talking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a sense that there's a, changing of the guard in the NBA. LeBron won't be with us much longer. Steph dominated last night, but they're going to need a new generation of superstars in the league. And these are two really charismatic candidates with great stage presence.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, with me now, Brian Windhorst and Monica McNutt. What is so funny?
LeBron will not be with us in the league anymore. I was like, oh gosh, don't kill LeBron.
Wendy, I'm sorry I asked.
Sorry,
Wendy, the Grizz are trying to avoid falling into an 0-2 hole. They just went 21-2 without Ja Morant. What matchup are they most worried about heading into Game 2?
Yeah, Max, they got a problem here, and that problem is that Karl Towns is a real problem for Steven Adams, their starting center. He just has trouble following Towns around the perimeter. And look, Steven Adams is never going to average a lot of points, but the Grizzlies' offense is partially predicated on offensive rebounding. They're the number one offensive rebounding team in the league, and it's not close. They count on getting 15 to 20 second chance points because Steven Adams gets a bunch of offensive rebounds. I don't think they can play Steven Adams his normal minutes against Towns. I think they got a match down. That means less offensive rebounding. That means less scoring. So even though this is a number 2 seed versus a 7 seed, because of the Karl-Anthony Towns-Adams matchup, it's actually closer. We've already seen that play out in Game 1.
Yeah, Towns is a tough matchup, period, for a big with everything he can do. Monica, this to me now has the look, after Game 1 of a potentially terrific series. What do the Grizzlies need to do to pull it out?
Well, I think they've got to go back to some of that defensive DNA, right? Whether it's moving Jaren Jackson to guard Karl-Anthony Towns, Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy who to me could have easily been a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Then I'm looking at guys like Kyle Anderson and Brandon Clark who have to give more off of the bench, both offensively and defensively. Game 1 looked a lot like the Grizzlies getting a dose of their own medicine in terms of a team that wanted to run up and down the floor. And Anthony Edwards, we love him. He's a great interview, tremendous potential, high ceiling in this league. But dude was completely unbothered. Like, he just was free to do whatever he wanted to do. And Kevin mentioned Malik Beasley, which to me is like, I can deal with a guy that you don't anticipate for, but you can't allow Anthony Edwards to get that much energy because it truly it was a catalyst for everybody else.
Is there any danger that after having such a good record without Ja, who's a terrific, such a great young player, and then have Anthony Edwards kind of get the better of him, is there any danger that the Grizz can fall into where it's like, ahead, Ja, go do your thing, and it becomes less of a team game?
I don't buy that because, to me, the issue was them on the defensive side of the ball, which is what they do as a team, and that identity is well established. I mean, if you just go bucket for bucket, I don't think Ja played terrible offensively. They got to play defense. Like, what are y'all doing?
He dropped over 30. Wendy, what do you think? To me, it seems like, I'll get overly specific, but of the super fast, twitchy, and they can shoot under 6'5", oh my God, that is a superstar guys, it comes down to those two, and Anthony Edwards got the better of it. What do you think about the rematch?
Yeah, well, first off, I think you're going to see an angry and motivated Ja Morant. So tonight we're going to learn a lot about Ja. And I will point something out. Last year, Memphis was the 8th seed. They upset Utah in Game 1, and we were talking about this exact thing. Is Ja actually ready to pull this upset? And then the Jazz won the next 4. Now, I'm not saying it's the same type of matchup, but let's give the Grizz a chance to make their adjustments. Right. But I will say this. One thing that is a huge advantage, you mentioned their record without Ja, 21-2. That's because they have great depth. Well, early in a playoff series, depth doesn't always help you because we saw Chris Finch play Karl Towns 45 minutes, Anthony Edwards 43 minutes. Like, go ahead, play Ja for 34 minutes, which is what he did. Anthony Edwards is going to be on the court 8 or 9 more minutes, and we like that. So it will also not surprise me if, despite that great depth, Ja Morant's minutes come up starting tonight.
Yeah, playoff lineups generally shorten, right? Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.